In today's video, I'm going to draw the number 1 in 1 minute, then double it and draw a 2 in 2 minutes, and keep doubling it until I get to 256. So let's begin. My hope for the first one is to just draw a nice blocky 3D 1. I might have time to shade it. Well, 1 minute starting now. Alright. So we can draw a nice chunky 1 like so. I'll do the feet on it. I don't know if that's the right term to be using. So I'm gonna make it 3D like this. Actually, I'll undo that. All right, still got 30 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna do some shading. I guess the tops will be a little lighter. Still got 6 seconds. I'll just do a little bit of like extra fanciness. Okay. Well, I think that was a reasonable use of time. Yeah, I mean, it's not the prettiest, but much better than just doing like this. That was 1 second. Okay, that's my 1 drawn in 1 minute. Now let's do 2. Okay, we're just gonna do the fancier version of that for number 2. And time starts now. Okay, I'm just gonna draw a 2 like so. Ooh, maybe like this. That seems pretty good. Now I can draw a block around it more easily. This is kind of confusing when you're looking at both, but hide that layer. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm gonna make it 3D like this kind of interesting angle. I wanna do a shadow down here, coming out a bit more maybe. Oh my god, okay. I'm gonna color in this 2, blue, and then it gets a bit darker. And it's like even darker in this crevice. Let's make a lighting layer. So I'm gonna have some like highlights over here. I wanna do a little bit of a background as well. Actually, not much time left. Okay, this is all right. I want to make the shadow fade out a little bit. I'll go like this. Seems pretty decent. 7 seconds. Let's just add to the background a touch. Okay, I tried to do a kind of a vignette at the end, but I just got the corners. That's not too bad. So 1 to 2. I think there's a pretty clear difference. Whether it's for the better, I guess it's up to you, but this is like a doodling in class vibe, and then this is a bit more polished and colorful. Now we double it to 4. I'm gonna take a different approach with this one, ditching the block letter aesthetic. You'll see. 4 minutes starts now. Okay, let's just fill this in with green. So I wanna make this a bunch of grass, and then the 4 is just like embedded, made of dirt. I don't have too much of a plan, but I'm just hoping that looks pretty decent. Draw a 4. I draw my 4s like this. Some people do this, but whatever. So I'm gonna take this and perspective it. So we're like looking down at the ground at kind of an angle. The shading kind of makes no sense, but it's already been a minute. Let's fill this in with some lighter colors. I have to really blend in the edges. Doing a bunch of this so it looks like the grass is covering this like hole. I'm not sure this is going too well. All right, almost halfway. What I really should have done is masked out the layer, but it's fine. So this will add some texture. We should put some dots all over the place. Let's do some more shading over top. So it's covering everything, kind of makes it blend in better. Do a bit of like yellow sunlight as well. Let's do some like flowers. This, and then we'll do some yellow innards. If I put them around the 4 more so, it'll highlight the shape. I've got 42 seconds left. This is kind of bad. I made the flowers too light. I gotta have some more like scattered so it looks kind of natural. Make them darker in the foreground. Okay, this is a very... We're done. It's not very scientific. That's decently interesting. Honestly, for 4 minutes, it's like not a bad painting job. I don't know if it's very clear that this is grass and dirt and flowers, but it looks okay. And next up is 8 minutes. I want to do an 8-ball for this, like a pool billiards thing. 8 minutes starting now. Okay, so I just have to get a giant brush, and there's a circle. But now for the inner circle, I'm gonna have to... Well, I guess I could take another circle and like manipulate it, but I'm just gonna draw this. Okay, that looks fine enough. It's kind of a strange angle. Just wanna get this like looking decent. Draw some shine on it. Kind of freestyle it. I'm not really sure what I'm doing with this, but pretty intense highlights. We'll draw some more over here. All right, so let's get a bit of a background and then we can add some reflections. So we'll draw the green table. Oh, I spent a lot of time already. I'll shade this quite heavily. Really dark towards the back. And I guess we need a wall or like whatever's in the background. Now I'll draw some green, some very dark green at the bottom of the ball. So I should delete this. Okay, the like wooden edge of the table. Need to shade that in. Get some lights going. So the wall's kind of lighter at the top. Then we have a light kind of overall coming from above. Sure. I don't think this makes any sense, but it enhances the image. I want to do some more balls in the back. So we'll just make some random circles. I don't know what colors would be included, but we'll just do some like generic colors. Oh, I drew this on the same layer as the light. Green, blue. I should draw the number on at least one of them. There's also stripes and solids, but so I'm going to blur that. I guess the background should also be blurred. I'm going to draw a shadow underneath the 8-ball. Okay, it's got to be kind of soft, I think. And a little bit more towards this way. And then, oh my god, 50 seconds. We'll do an overlay. No, we'll do a screen. There's only 12 seconds left. I'm going to do a bit of a vignette. 4 seconds. Turn this down. Okay, that is time. I feel like that could have gone better. Not terrible looking. Number 4 to number 8. I think that's an improvement. Arguably, the first two look the best. But this is pretty solid. No pun intended. This one's more of a cartoony style. So I started with a sketch of the number. Then I drew this lumpy, decrepit shape around it. I colored it green, kind of zombie-like. Then drew in the shading, which gave it more depth and form. I also did a larger shadow on each digit and added some highlights. For the background, I used a rough brush to make this kind of radial vortex. Lastly, I added a glow on the 16. The cleanest and yet grossest one so far. Maybe the 8 looks like it took more effort or time just because of the more realistic style, but I think this one's better. Well, let's move on to 32. I wanted to make the 3 and 2 a couple of creatures. So I drew this wrinkled form with folds and crevices around the 3. Then added some jagged teeth and black eyes. The 2 was made of a similar material, but it's a snake. Just very oddly stanced. I filled in the flat colours, giving it some belly and tail. Then coloured the 3 and started on shading. I decided to do a sunset or sunrise sky with them sitting on the grass. Then I painted the shadows to match. I worked on the details of the snake, giving it some stripes and a tongue. Then made some clouds and a cast shadow on the ground. I finished off with some hills in the back and overall colour effects. And this is my 32. I was hoping for more, but it's not too bad. Definitely lacking in several areas, but it's kind of interesting. And let's just move on to 64. My idea for this one was to have a 6 and a 4 carved into different trees. So first I drew the 2 trees in the middle, without branches or leaves. Then some faded forestry in the back. I tried out a base layer of shading, then drew the numbers. I manually made the edges rough and jagged for a more natural look. Now, the texture on the trees and carvings are something I struggled with. Usually when I draw a tree, it's not the main focus and I don't put a lot of detail into it. But I played around with it until I got something okay looking. Then it was time for some foliage in the foreground, and I enhanced the background a bit. After that I went back to the trees, adding more detail and lighting. Then I added sun rays beaming through and a couple extra trees. Okay, we're starting to get somewhere with these pieces. I'm still not super happy with it, but looks like I gave it a good effort. But the next one's going to be over 2 hours, so let's see what that entails. Alright, I started out by sketching the numbers and drawing the perspective. These are going to be big rocky blocks. I made sure to get the general shape just right before moving on. So then it was time to draw the front faces. I made them nice and bumpy, then drew in all the general rock shapes. Next it was highlights. I used a low opacity white brush and drew a bunch of splotches and scratches inside each rock. Now for the 3D part of it. I made those non-front facing sides less detailed to avoid visual clutter. For the background it's going to be a lot of grass and dirt in a night setting. I also put in a moon. I added some lighting from the moon onto the numbers, as well as some shadow. Then back to the ground for more detail. After that I honed in on the lighting of the 128 and added some light to the sky. One thing I wanted from the start was a fire. Just makes everything look cooler, so I tried that a couple times. Once the base drawing was decent, I blurred it, added a screen blending mode and a glow. Also some orange light on the numbers. Next I scattered some rocks on the ground, lit them accordingly, and tweaked the lighting in general. I drew some hills in the background, along with some clouds. Then a line of trees as well as some little bushes. Now it's just finishing touches before a camera raw filter. Now this one I'm actually happy with. If you look too close at it, it's not great, but it's got a nice atmosphere. Certain details like the way the dirt blends into the grass or the sticks just being solid brush strokes, and the trees in the back, I would like to have improved those. But the overall look of it I'm quite happy with. Well, let's move on to 256. First thing I did was draw the numbers with the 5 slightly closer to the camera. They're going to be sitting in a river, so I made this quick placeholder background. I wanted to make these grotesque creatures again, like a more advanced version of 32. So the 2 is somewhat snake-like, with a bunch of twists and lumps. The 5 has a human nose and kind of an elbow, which I thought was funny and unsettling. The 6 is some kind of monster with a mouth where the hole is. After getting the sketches down, I went over each number with clean line art. I wanted to keep the colours somewhat uniform, so I used the same brownish purple and light yellow for the 2 and 6, with a brownish orange for the 5. Then I made the eyes on the 6 and added some wrinkles before starting on the background. I drew a row of trees, just the generic style I normally do. Not sure if it makes sense for the setting, but looks fine to me. Then made a healthy array of dirt patches. I drew some rocks in the foreground, then more trees in the back. Now for some more details on the numbers, and I'll begin shading. I tried to accentuate the form with shadows, and I think it worked out well. I did the same thing for the 5 and 6. This was quite a large chunk of time, but a crucial and worthwhile element. Now to work on the water. I added some shading and white ripples under the numbers, implying a right to left flow. Then some rocks along the backside of the river. I gave the background some shading and haze, also tufts of grass and bushes. Then some texture on the dirt. I added shading to the foreground rocks, another ripple, and more details on the background. Then highlights on the creatures and a bit of extra colouring, which really brought them together. Now just reflections in the water and finishing touches. I also put a leaf in there. And this is my 256 in 256 minutes. I really like it. I could understand preferring 128 to this because of the difference in style, but I enjoy the punchiness of the number, and the silliness of it. I do think it's the best one, but there are still many improvements I could make to it, but this is what I did with the time I had, and I'm happy with it. Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my creations. Have a good week, and see you later.